Ka te ake te iwi tēnā koutou, tēnā tātou I roto I tēnei pō. Kia ora everybody, Che Wilson here from Te Pai Pai Waho, sending out a big mihi to you all tonight as I catch up on the Kauhau session. Had a break last week during the school holidays. So, e mihi ana kia koutou, kia tīmata tātou ki tētei karakia, ka haere tonu ko ngā kōrero. Karanga kia rangi nui atu I honei, karanga kia papea takoto ake nei. Te putanga o te kōrero, te putanga o te wānanga, ka puta ki wā au ki te wai au ki te ao mārama. Hui e aiki. Taki kia tātou. Kia ora everybody, I'm here at the airport. And so going to do a quick kōrero. And the kaupapa for tonight is focused specifically on continuation of Whānau reunions. I did an overview 2 weeks ago, had a break during school holidays, and back onto it now. And just wanted to note that the first kaupapa we'll cover tonight is Whakapapa. And what do you do during a Whānau reunion to Whakapapa, different examples that people have been doing around the country. So yeah, and if it gets a bit noisy, as I said, I'm at the airport. Whānau. First things first about Whakapapa, and what's often shared is the kāwai. And the kāwai are your direct descent from an ancestor through to you or your tupuna. That's the general reason why you're gathered. So you might be gathering as just an immediate family, parents and whānau, grandparents, or even great-grandparents. And you might do a kāwai from your hapu or your iwi down to that person. And then there's a whole range of options that you can choose. I think the key thing to note is kāwai go down, and then it's vertical down. Whakapapa is the interconnections across and down, and how you link each other to each other. So there's a whole range. Some do it by sharing it verbally or on a big piece of paper and just go down a few sets of lines only. Others will do books, and as they do those books, there'll be a heap of detail. I think one of the key things to look at is when you do your book, make sure that it's simple to follow. And, you know, from about the 1880s onwards, there should be, in some iwi, at least photographs. So doing a pictorial whakapapa is also a cool option to do. And with that pictorial whakapapa, hopefully it can help people to connect and also help people realize, okay, it's not just names on a piece of paper, but there's photos, and I've actually seen that photo in the meeting house, or I've seen that at Nanny so-and-so or Koro so-and-so's. And what the photos do is it just makes it a lot more real. What other people do is they may also put numbers to you. And let's just say it's from your great-grandparents down. And so your great-grandparents are 0, then their children are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And if you're the first child of the first child, then it's 1.1. Or if you're the 5th child of the second child, it's 2.5. And that gets confusing as I talk about it now, but hopefully you might be able to follow what I'm trying to say. And I know in my wife's family, they've been doing numbers since the 1980s, and pretty cool how they do it. And so I copied that when we had our Whānau reunion. And so some of my nieces and nephews have now got these numbers tattooed on them because they're from so-and-so and so-and-so. And what it does is it just gives another way of looking at who you are. So as I said, I'm at the airport, and once we get through this message, I'll carry on talking. But the key point to note with Whakapapa,
thanks for helping us make your journey safer.
And thank you too. With Whakapapa, what it does do is it shares who you are, where you fit in the family, and how you relate to each other. Other cool things that people do is they might colour code names so that you know which family you come from or which blood generation you come from. Because sometimes you might have been calling someone auntie so-and-so or uncle so-and-so your whole life, when actually they're not your auntie and uncle, they're your cousin. But because they're significantly older, as a term of respect, you've called them auntie or uncle. When it comes to doing it in Te Reo Māori, you shouldn't be calling them auntie and uncle. You should be calling them tuakana taina, tuahine tungane, depending on who you are. And also, your grandaunt and granduncle, you shouldn't be calling them auntie and uncle in Te Reo Māori. If they are of a grand generation, then they are nana and koro. And when we mix up Whakapapa Pākehā terms and Whakapapa Māori terms, we can get really confused. And so what's really cool is some people will do colours so that you can see which blood generation you're from. So books, pieces of paper, doing it orally, doing it as a PowerPoint, using photographs are all good examples of how to show and share Whakapapa. In addition to that, having the colours to identify which blood generation you come from can help. So you're not calling auntie when actually they're your cousin or sometimes even your niece or nephew. And my poor children, because I had children late, most of their mates are actually their nieces and nephews. But we've always made sure to instill in the kids that they know their Whakapapa generations. Another thing is somebody might be older than you by a year or two, and you'll call them tuakana, but you actually come from the older line. So no matter what their age is, if they come from an older line to you, they are your tuakana, not by your age. So it's not based on age only, based on lines. So all of these different things you can learn as you're doing your whānau reunions to help better understand how Whakapapa works, and also how photos can help you connect to the names so they're not just names. And also identifying your family who's really good at picking up. I've worked out some things in my line where it's better to teach somebody while someone else is listening, because I know that the ones listening will act as if they're not interested, but actually they're the one who's actually the one that's going to carry it going forward. So just a few tips to help us all so that we can move forward and start to share Whakapapa in a safe way in preparation for whānau reunions. Ka te ake, take care, be safe, and more next week. Tēnā koutou, kia ora tātou.